I used to tell kids this all the time. They would call me and be like, Coach, I really want to offer from you. I'm like, I get it, but like it ain't gonna come. Like, I know what I gotta do to get an offer from you. I'm like, all right, who you have offers from? Houston, well, all these other schools. I'm like, bro, those are good offers. He goes, I know, but I want one from you. I'm like, no, that's a really good offer. You should take that offer. I said, hold on, I'm gonna give you a scenario. $500 on the counter and says, hey, go shop and do whatever you want to do with it. Are you gonna tell her no? Or are you gonna take it? He goes, well, I'm gonna take it. Tell me to go shopping. It's your scholarship offer. Take it because I don't have any money for you.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to Athlete Country Club, where we believe it's not only our duty, but our mission to become the best version of ourselves. I'm your host, Marcus McMaryion. I'm super pumped about today. Jamar Cain is going to be our guest. He's probably going to be one of the most well-versed guests we've ever had on the podcast, honestly, and for good reason. I mean, he's coached at nearly every level of football from high school to college, blue bloods like LSU, Oklahoma, and now he's the defensive line coach for the Denver Broncos. In 2023, I mean, he helped lead them to one of the top run defenses in the NFL, and with Denver finishing among the league leaders in tackles for loss and interior disruption. He's definitely widely respected for his ability to teach just the finer points of the D line and play well, connecting all athletes from all backgrounds. From, I mean, you got the two-star grinders to the first-round NFL talents at the Blue Blood School. So without further ado, welcome, Coach Kane.
Appreciate you, Marcus. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
no doubt, brother, no doubt. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of get into it. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit off camera, just how the whole coaching thing kind of comes full circle from player to coach relationship. But I know one of our very first interactions at Fresno State, you kind of caught me off guard a little bit. You said, "Hey, why didn't you hit me back?" And it kind of caught me off guard. But I'll kind of let you tell that story. You caught me in the cafeteria right after practice. I was probably still dizzy from the run or something like that.
Yeah, I think you were just transferring. Either you're transferring. Was you coming out of high school or was it you transferring?
I was coming straight out of Oregon State. I
Yeah,
was transferring in.
yeah. So he were and we. I was at North Dakota State before I came in, and we were looking for a quarterback at that time. And I called you because I knew you from high school at Dinuba, and no phone call back. I was like, all right, maybe I can just DM him. Nothing came back, and then a couple months later, shit, we're sitting there talking to each other, and you helped us win a lot of games. But nah, it comes full circle like that.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And I mean, just like college recruiting, I mean, I think there's a lot of misconceptions around college football, how it really works, to where like you're recruiting me, but I mean, you're technically a defensive line coach. Like, just to the
Yeah,
everyday parent who doesn't understand that, like, why isn't the quarterback coach or the head coach reaching out to me?
yeah. I think it's like levels. It's levels to everything. So when you're in a group of five, a one double A, D2, you have areas. So you don't truly position recruit. Like when I was at LSU and Oklahoma and Arizona State, I only recruited my position. But when I was at North Dakota State, Fresno, Wyoming, Cal Poly, I had an area. So I always had Northern California from Fresno North because that's just where I'm from, being from Sacramento. So I just position recruited. So I would take your film, show the quarterback coach. Of course, quarterback coach may have some other area that he has to recruit. So I became your primary recruiter. But when you get to the higher levels, that's when you only position recruit. So when I was at LSU, I would only fly around the country and only see defensive linemen. I remember going into a school like, say, I'm in East Texas at Texas High, and the coach say, hey, I have a quarterback, I may have a corner, and I'm like, I can't do anything for you, bro. Like I'm only here to see this one kid. I can't do it. Like I can't recruit him. That's not my position to recruit. So I think there's levels to it, but at that level that you and I are talking about, it was specifically area recruiting.
Yeah, no doubt. And you kind of talk about that. I mean, you kind of, I don't want to just brush over all the history you just talked about. So you literally went from Fresno State to Pauley to Wyoming, North Dakota State, I think back to Fresno State. And this is when it got crazy because this is when you were with me, and I was like, man, Coach Kane is crushing, man. He just went from Fresno State to Arizona State. We were pumped for you, excited. Then when next
Yeah,
year we're, oh, he's at Oklahoma, like, okay, he's really killing now. And then you end up at
yeah.
LSU. Just kind of talk about, let's first just hone in on you, like, because there are coaches who coach at the group of five level and either A, get stuck or don't progress. Like, what were you doing to kind of hold yourself to a level that you kind of saw progression? It comes with a little bit of luck, and I know you're going to
Yeah.
deflect that, but it's also a lot of talent as well.
Yeah. Well, I always thought you need to associate yourself with winning. And I think what we did at Fresno, like going from 1-11 to 10-4 to 12-2, like you saw the hype build up around our team. And then I want to say we went from like 110th in defense to like top 20 in 1 year. Like it was crazy just how much we climbed up the charts. So I was also a guy that always eager to learn. Like I don't ever be humble enough to say you need help. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I always be humble enough to say that you need help. So I'll always like reach out to people and try to hone my craft. So when I went to Fresno, we did really good. Then I went to Arizona State. I remember going to Arizona State and Herm Edwards was there, and all these guys were there. But Marvin Lewis was the guy that really taught me a lot. He was a head coach for the Bengals. Him and Herm are really close. And I just remember sitting in Herm's office one day, and I was sitting in my meeting room, and Marv comes in my meeting room. I'm like sitting there coaching the guys up, and Marv comes in my meeting room, sits in the back, and he's just taking notes. I'm like, damn, this is the old head coach of the Bengals for like 15 years sitting in my meeting room. Like, so he did it for like 3 days consecutive, and I'm like freaking out. And finally, I was like, let me just go up to him and see what I'm doing wrong and what I'm doing right. So he had a whole list of like good things, then he had a whole list of like bad things. And the young part of me would have said, take the bad things and don't even listen to him. Like, oh, this old guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But I took that and made a strength out of it. So then I saw my guys getting progressively better and better. I felt myself becoming a better coach. I knew how to structure a meeting. I knew how to structure myself on the field. And then I got the random call from Oklahoma because we had success again. And then my name started ringing more for recruiting too. So as much effort as I put in on the field, coaching and with my players, I put the equal amount of effort into recruiting. And then my phone rang from Oklahoma, and then we'll get to the Oklahoma story. So I was there for 2 years with COVID and everything else. Then Lincoln Riley leaves and decides to go to USC. And at that point, I was like, well, do I want to go to USC? And then I was under contract, but if I did the bowl game, I know I'm giving you a lot right now. But if I did the bowl game, I didn't have a contract buyout. So it was like, wow, I can actually become a free agent now. All I got to do is stay and do the bowl game.
Hmm.
So then, like, all these schools around the country started hitting me because I didn't have a buyout. So then I became my first time my whole career, I was actually a free agent. I could pick and choose where I wanted to go. So that chose LSU. But back to your original question, I know I get on a tangent, but I just thought like you have to be able to learn at every different place that you went to. So I learned and took from Jeff Tedford, learned and took from Herman Edwards, learned and took from Lincoln Riley, learned and took from Brian Kelly, and now I'm continuously learning from Sean Payton. But the foundation of what I learned is Fresno State. This is no BS. In North Dakota State. Like I still have a thing in my meeting room that says teach, critique, demand.
Yeah.
Teffer thing. A coach's job is to teach, critique, and demand. I tell my players that when we start fall camp on the 21st, that'll be the first slide I put up. The guys, my job is to teach, critique, and demand, and your job is to grind, refine, and compete. And I just take the stuff like that, and I've learned and I've grown, and then my career took off from there.
Yeah, no, that's huge. And I think right in the beginning when you're talking, I think you touched on a big point to where just when coach was sitting in there and you're kind of nervous and critiquing you in the film. Talk about that jump from most of the audience listening are going to be high school athletes that are aspiring Division I athletes that want to get that athletic scholarship and end up in that meeting room at some point. What's the
Yeah,
biggest jump from high school to D1, just from a film perspective? I'm not even talking about physical play because I've seen guys
yeah.
that are out of this world athletic but couldn't sniff playing time. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of those guys as well, just for mentally, or whatever the case is, for their head in the playbook.
It's amazing because um, kids watch film in high school, but I don't think they really watch film. They watch it as like more of a highlight. And then you get to college and you're told to watch film. Again, you're not really taught how to watch film. And us as coaches, especially in college, we have such less time to install, watch film, critique, teach, that I think almost film gets lost. Whereas in college, I mean, in the NFL, it's like we have a 2.5 hour, 3 hour meeting like every day. That's our meeting time. And I think as you progressively get higher from college, from high school to college to NFL, you learn how to watch film. And I think film is what makes an average player good or makes a really good player great because the minute you know like what to expect, and I tell my guys this, somebody's gonna tell you a story on film. It's up to you to read the story. Like I can't like you have to watch it. You got to bring ideas to me because you watch stuff on film. You got to be able to bring, hey, Kane, you see this guy, this tackle's right leg is back or his heels on the ground. That might be a run pass key. Like we can't predict what play they're going to run, but we can always look for some type of story within film. I think kids need to realize that too. Then don't make it up either. Don't say,
Yeah.
oh, I saw it one time. Nah, get a pen and paper and do your own little charts. Like if you're in my office, you'll see all these little charts that I make and little tallies just so I can make sure I'm on point with that.
Yeah. No, that's huge. And from a coaching perspective, I could kind of tell from the quarterback position, and you could kind of tell which guys are watching film and which guys are not.
Yeah,
From a coaching perspective, how does that change your perspective on playing? Maybe some guys are on the bubble as far as playing time, or maybe even relating back to the high school athletes again. How do you kind of get a feel? Because you have such a small window with the high school athletes. How can you
yeah.
tell who's watching film, who's not, who has football IQ? Like, as a high school athlete, how do I demonstrate that to a coach that's coming on a visit to see me at the high school?
I think for me, when I used to bring high school kids in and like recruit them, I just wanted them to be able to regurgitate what I taught them. Like for instance, I may be able to I'll put in one defense, like, and then I always refer back to what you guys called it. So I would say, hey, Marcus, at Dinuba, what'd you guys call this front? And you would say, hey, we call this Swan or whatever it is,
Mhm.
you know? And I'm like, okay, cool. So now I know it's Swan. So I'll say, okay, this is Swan. What do you guys call this movement? Well, we call this movement a spike. Okay, cool. Hey, get up on the board and draw me Swan spike, please. So now I'm putting in your terms. So if you can't get up the board and draw it, we got some issues. Or if I show you a play and I show you the next play, and I know that this is Swan Spike, you told me from the other one, and you made up a different name, four, it's like, he might be full of it a little bit, you know?
Yeah,
So I,
yeah,
I really, I really try to like learn, like, I want to hear you just basically talk to me through what you guys are doing. That's all. That's it. Especially if you've been somewhere like a high school where the coach has been there for 4 to 5 years and y'all been running the same defense for four to five
Mhm.
years. And you come in my meeting room at an LSU or an Oklahoma and you cannot talk to me about your base defense. We got issues. Or even to the point where I'm just going to install my base defense for you. Just like two fronts, one pressure. That's it. Like, come on now. Like my daughter can do that
yeah,
right now. And if you can't regurgitate that and put it together for me, and I'm gonna give you hints. Like, hey,
yeah,
don't you think he should be in a three technique here? And you look at me like, Coach, what's a three technique? It's like, okay. You're big and fast and you can run. You know what I mean, or something like that. So I think that's big too. Just know the game. Just know your alignments. Like if you're a defensive lineman, you don't know what a nine technique is, or a four eye, or a shade, or
yeah.
that's kind of that tells me like how much studying has he really been doing? Like how much does he really love it, or he's just playing football?
Yeah, yeah. No, and I think I got into quarterback coaching for a little bit right after I finished playing, just like one-on-one training. I would tell guys how important just film study was and knowing where you are just mentally, especially from the quarterback position. And obviously, the higher you climb up, it's important at every single position. I mean, I've talked to some DBs. I mean, even we talked about Juju Hughes off camera. I mean, I used to talk to him after every practice, like, hey, what am I doing that you're picking up on as a safety that I
Yep.
could do better so that I don't do it against the other team? So I think that's
Yeah.
huge is just kind of feeding off each other and stuff like that too. So just learning from each other, kind of like that mentorship you talked about earlier.
Yep. No, I think that's huge. Just and again, the more you can just sit around and talk the game with somebody, that helps your IQ. Like you can't get your IQ from Madden, even though I love Madden. You've got
Yeah.
to be able to get on a board, draw it up, and just talk through it with anybody and everybody. Like if I'm
Yeah.
a high school kid, like if I used to go to practices and I would see a D lineman talking with an offensive lineman, or they're on the side there working on pass rush or just talking through some stuff, I'm like, okay, he's at least learning. He's at least
Yeah.
trying to learn, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I think kind of a common theme of our conversation so far is just like there are levels to every single thing. And I think the next
Yes.
progression of that is okay, you're a stud in the film room. You could jump on the whiteboard and do it. But then I've personally seen there's sometimes a disconnect from the whiteboard in the classroom to the field. Obviously,
Yep.
you've had a high success rate with all your athletes. How are you making that connect? Because sometimes there is a disconnect from the field and the classroom. So how do you kind of marry the two together?
I think the biggest thing that I do is I always look like I'll come home, especially because like it bothers me if the kid can't learn, or it bothers me if he can't take it to the field. Like it really affects me a lot. So I was like, okay, what do I got to do better? You know what I mean? I'm always constantly like trying to figure out what I got to do better. I read a lot, especially on the forms of teaching, how kids learn, all that stuff. So I was like, okay, maybe I need to teach him a different way of how to process this, because if you can do it on the board, you can do it on the board, but you can't do it on the field. That means you have to you're not a visual learner. You have to do it physically by going out and just walking through it. So maybe I have to get you out there 10 minutes beforehand and we got to do more walkthroughs, or hold you after and we got to do more walkthroughs. So it's basically like, okay, maybe what I just got to figure out what kind of learner are you? And once I figure that out, then we can have success. But I also got to make sure that I'm putting you in a position. I don't care. I'll cheat. I'm like, hey, here's your plays. Okay, here's your 4 or 5 plays you're going to be in. Hey, on the first play, you're going to be a three technique to the right. You're going to be a nine technique. Okay, you got to go to B gap. Okay, and then now they're in there and they're learning the call and they already know what they're doing, so they can
Yeah.
play fast. And the
Yeah.
more that you can do that, I think that helps them out too. Like to me, it's not a test. The test is on Saturday.
Yeah.
Practice is not a test. Like some people want to make it a test as hard as it possibly can be. Listen, dude, get in the B gap right now. That's all you gotta do. Be in the B
Yeah.
gap, and you're good. This
Yeah.
call means you're in a B gap. I do that now with my guys. My guys will walk over to me like, Kane, let me see my rack. I'm like, all right, here you go. And I'm like, boom, you got this, you got this, you got this, you got this. Okay, cool, I got it.
Yeah. No.
Like it's no there's no secret. Like, why am I trying to screw you? Because you're gonna screw me too. So
Yeah.
it's like, I'm
Yeah.
not
We're on
gonna
the
do
same
that.
team here. Yep.
Yeah.
No, I think that's huge too, because I think just understanding how important the classroom is and then applying it to the field, because I think I've seen there's only a really, really small percentage of guys that could get away with messing up every single rep that are just like unheard of, God-given ability. Just there's not a lot of those guys. You could only rely on talent for so far. Like, and I think for you, I mean, you've coached in, I mean, the Pac-12, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the SEC. Now you're in the league. I mean, what kind of stays the same and what changes as you're kind of progressively working your way up the ladder?
Yeah. I think it's funny that you said that, because I was just talking to Grub about this last weekend, because he was with the Seahawks, as you know. I think more in the league where and coaching, like these guys have already got good technique. Now you can add to it,
Mhm.
right? But I think in college and in high school, you're building the foundation. So the kids who already have the solid foundation of like, okay, take your freshman year, you're just like building that house. You're laying the concrete, then you're building the structure of the house all the way into your sophomore, senior year,
Yeah.
junior year. Then when you get to college, all we're doing is changing a light bulb. I mean, you get to the NFL, all we're doing is changing a light bulb. We're adding some new ceiling fans. You know what I mean? The house is already built.
Yeah.
Now we're just keeping the value of the house up. Whereas in college, in the early stages in college, it's about building that foundation of technique. And there may be some stuff that I want to change. Don't get me wrong, I do coach my ass off. There's a
Mhm.
lot of stuff that I want to change and a lot of stuff that I think we need to fix on. But it's like in the league, it's like, okay, hey, Marcus, this year, after watching all the tape, you got to get better at X, Y, and Z. That's it. If you get better at X, Y, and Z, we can get you another something. You know what I mean? Whereas in college, it's like, okay, Marcus, we got to make sure our eyes are right.
Yeah.
We got to make sure our pad level is low.
Yeah.
We got to know the call. You know what I mean? Like there's like a whole system of stuff you got to
Yeah.
do before the play even gets snapped.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
that's so true. And I think it's just you're more refining, I think, at that level, to where
Yeah.
even so my my experience in college might have been a little different. I actually never had a quarterback coach that played quarterback, which I think is going to be
Yeah.
mind-boggling for people here, but you've been in the coaching game, so you understand. I've had I had two quarterback coaches in college, and they both played wide receiver, which when I started, I thought it was just out of this world, doesn't make any sense. How can you coach me if you never played quarterback? But then you realize a lot of it at that level, like you said, the foundation's set when you're in college. They're not there to tweak this and tweak that. Sometimes
Yeah.
they are. But most of the time it's like, hey, let's get you dialed in up here
Right.
mentally. Those guys are X's and O's geniuses. Obviously, Kalen DeBoer's not that bad of a coach. He worked out for him, making his way up to Bama.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my coordinator at Fresno State, and we're all there together. So just kind of talk about that. I mean, just like, I mean, a lot of athletes. I mean, how do you help raw athletes become technicians? Because you are that kind of coach that you are helping the
Yeah.
technical side of things.
Yeah. I think it's a give and take too. It's like when you have a young player, you really got to get him. I always tell young players, a rookie, a freshman, hey, whatever you learn, let's just not bring that to the table right now. Like,
Yeah.
let's just, it may be good for you later on and we can bring it back, but let's just start this thing new. Because if you start it new, then at least I can coach you on film.
Mhm.
If you're doing my stuff, I can coach you on film. I can't coach somebody else's technique that I
Yeah.
don't believe in. So especially as a young kid. But I think when you have a raw athlete, you first of all you got to build him up. You got to let him know that he's a good player. You can't beat him up all day, every day, and
Yeah.
think that all of a sudden day 15 he's going to pick it up miraculously. No, because he's going to go home, as you already know, sit in that room, sit in that dorm room, whatever, and thinks he sucks and he can never
Yeah.
play the game. He's calling mom, calling his dad. Whoever has the soft ear, he's picking them up. I mean, picking up that phone, and all they're doing is telling them that
Yeah.
coach doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So you've got to build him up, and that's putting him. That goes back to putting him in a position to make plays early in his career, so he can believe into the technique that he's teaching. It's probably like when you came into Fresno right away, learning the Bohr system and Grubb system and Tefford system. That like, hey, let me just get some completions first
Yeah. For sure.
before I start
Yeah.
trying to check out of plays and hey, let me just make sure I get this ball out on time. And let me just make sure I get the right depth on my drop. Like little things like that. Then as you progress, because they were trying to build you up, then they added more
Yeah.
onto it. So like and again, you were a transfer, so that was a little bit different because you had already had some techniques. You're an older player, but as a young player, it's like, okay, Marcus, I got you in. These are your three plays. And I would tell the coordinator, hey, we got Marcus in. Let's just script these 3 or 4 plays,
Yeah.
give him some success. Hey, I'll coach him through it. So I think it's all about building success. So if you have success with the technique that I taught you, you're going to be eager for more.
Yeah. No, and I think that's huge too. You touched on right at the end that I think a lot of people see the finished product, like they see, even for me, they see Fresno State, Marcus. Hey, you're having a lot of success and it looks good and it looks good on film and everyone's excited to watch you play. And I always joke with Kevin McGivern, who's at Utah State. He was my coordinator at Oregon State when I was there. Uh, he always says Tedford, and he's like, Fresno State guys need to send me Christmas presents every year because I developed you for 2 years and I sent off the finished product to Fresno State. And I was like, man, it's true because just like little things like that, you're saying it's. I used to come to the phone on the sideline when I was at Oregon State, and I would just be quiet. Like I would listen. Like, hey, what did you see? And I'd be like, I don't know what I saw. Like guys were moving
Right.
fast. Like
Right.
it was happening. I don't know. But versus when I got to Fresno, I pick up the phone. I'm like, yo, there's five down. They're bringing the wheel. They're rotating at three. Like they're playing all coverage.
Yes.
I need to take the yes, no. You need to call this play. We've been sitting on it all game. And the board's telling me, hey, calm down, dude. We see it. We know. What did you see on this? So I think just having that dialogue is a little different too. And I think kind of more on the recruiting side of it, how do you manage that expectation? Or even in the NFL, as a rookie, you come in, or as a freshman, wherever you're coming from, high school or from college, you're typically that dude. How do you
Right.
manage expectations of, I want to play right away, I want to be the guy right away?
I think well, I'll focus on from high school to college right away. 'Cause especially like when I was at LSU in Oklahoma, you're bringing 5-star kids in right away and who are expecting to come in and have success. Like, and you always just got again, I can only manipulate the game so much for you. But at some point, you've got to sit back and again humble yourself enough to say, I got to get better. This isn't high school anymore. And I think, especially like when you come from high school to to college, it's like forget the techniques. You got to learn a playbook.
Yeah.
So, and then the playbook is what slows some kids down sometimes. So if we had a junior leave early for the league and we got this 5-star freshman, well, he's got to play now.
Yeah.
So like you've got to understand, bro, you're gonna suck for a little bit. And then your athletic ability is going to kick in. You're going to make some plays, but there's going to be a lot more bad days than there are good days. And again, you got to be humble enough to say, I got to get better. I got to get better. I
Yeah.
got to get better. Especially here, like when I was at LSU, I mean, we had a couple players that were like 5-star kids who came in and wanted to play right away. And then we had a left tackle who just went number 4, Will Campbell, right, as a freshman, and these guys would come in there and they'll give Will Campbell like the business, but Will Campbell would just get up and say, "Come on, let's go." You know what I mean? And he was a freshman. But there would be also days where Will would be like, I'm like, oh shit, Will's that dude. You know what I mean? So it's like there's gonna be days where you're gonna have rough days. You just gotta get up and keep on going.
Yeah. No, touch on that though. I like how you said it's going to take some time for someone's athletic ability to catch up to them. So it's
Yeah.
mentally, are you saying mentally sometimes that's what's holding them back from fully being their full athletic self?
Yeah, because like we saw it on film. You can run, you can do everything. Like we're fine with that. What's slowing you up right now is the mental aspect of the game. Like you don't see down with the guard kick. You don't see that yet. So
Hmm.
that's what's slowing you down. You can be in shade and just talking, D line play where that center is so flat that you know that guard's coming down on you and you don't have the wherewithal to get your hands back right away. Or if you're a DN and you're reading a mesh point, well, you get too far upfield, you're just going to hand it off. Like that's little stuff that's like you got to slow the game down. Then in a minute, your athletic ability will kick in
Yeah.
once you slow the game down. So after a while, it's like I always tell kids, let's get through the first 2 weeks of fall camp,
Yeah.
and then we can figure everything else out. Like let's just get through the dog days, and then your athletic ability will kick in because you already know install 1 through 5. Now that's crazy.
Yeah. That's
So
smash on the head.
once we get through install 1 through 5, and for all those kids who are listening, like yeah, install 1 through 5 from high school to college is one thing, but install 1 through 5 from college and in the NFL is like you may have 40 defenses. With 2 minute situation, with all this situational stuff that you got to remember in too. So like, let's get through that first week, and the NFL's like, hey, let's get through the first game, and then we'll figure like we
Yeah.
got time. We're okay. Let's get to that first off day. Because you got to let's get to the first 7 days.
No,
We'll be
that's
okay.
huge. Yeah. And I think just like full transparency, I don't even think I've ever publicly said this outside behind closed doors with people. It's my first fall camp in college when I was at Oregon State. Mike Riley ran his offense. It was a pro style offense. So
Yeah.
we actually were a quarter system school. So we had a full pro schedule. So we had those 2, 3 hour meetings. We didn't have school
Yeah.
for our first
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
two
Yeah.
games. So we had full on NFL schedule. Um, and I didn't think I was going to be able to play in college. I mean, you're talking about those first installs 1 through 5. I mean, you get it. You start your day at 6 a.m. You have dinner at 8:30 p.m. with maybe a two,
Yeah.
3 hour nap in the middle. And then you
Yep.
get an install at 8 o'clock at night of 50 plays and said, know this by practice tomorrow, or you're going to look like a fool tomorrow. So it's like,
Yeah.
do I sleep? Do I stay up and study?
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
freaking out, but obviously the juniors and seniors, they've been in the system. They're not worried. Oh, this is base stuff. It's real basic. But as a young guy, you're learning it. It's like, it's a shell shock almost. I mean,
Yeah.
what would be your advice for high school athletes going into college and then college going into NFL? Like, how do you prepare for something like that?
I would say for high school to college, right? The biggest thing I would say to learn is just be able to get lined up.
Yep.
Because if you can get lined up, we can figure everything else out. You know that if you're a receiver and you don't know if you're on the ball or off the ball, you don't know if your splits on the hash. Are you hash +2, hash -1, Are you supposed to be on top of the numbers, outside the numbers? Like that's the biggest thing. Like just get to where you're lined up. Because then I can just scream at you and tell you where to go
Yep.
from there. But if you can't get lined up, then you already know as a quarterback, if that tight end's supposed to be off the ball and he's on the ball, like come on, bro. You know what I mean? Like we
Yeah.
can't run the play. We literally can't run the play. Or if the running back's supposed to be in a chow and he's stacked behind you, it's like, come on. You know what I mean? So I would say the biggest thing for high school to college, just get lined up. Like let's just know where you're supposed to go. And from there, we're good. Like I could teach you everything else. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, and then I would say in the NFL, I would just tell kids try to concept it. Like hey, we ran this play in college, we called it this. And the minute you can concept something, it picks up quicker. You know what I mean? Like we may have a play called bandit cover three. Well, in college, you called it over flex three. Okay, cool, I got it now. You know what I mean? Like what y'all call so when I have a rookie in, I always say, hey, what'd y'all call this? Or I'll call his coach and be like, hey, what'd y'all call this? Just to speed the process of learning up more for him,
Yeah.
especially if they were at a school that had a coordinator there for 4 years, or a D line coach. Like, hey, I'll call the D line coach. Say, hey, what'd you call this movement? Okay, he'll tell me. Okay, cool. Hey, we call this stick.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Well, we call this arrow. Okay, coach, I got it. You know what I mean? Like little things like that can help a kid out. Like especially because like for us, like they have to play.
Yeah.
Only
Yeah.
with a 53 man roster. So like I got to figure out how to speed this learning curve up. But high school to NFL, I mean high school to college, just get aligned. Your
Yeah.
first year, like you know what, I'm not gonna mess any alignment issues up. Like I'm going to be aligned. And I can see it on your face. You already know what the receivers, because you know how Teffer used to be on those splits.
Oh yeah. No, that was big. If you were supposed to be +2 of the hash, you better not be on that hash mark because he was gonna get on you.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
just knowing where you align,
Yeah.
then from there, if he's aligned right, you could tell him, hey, run a 10 yard out. You know what I mean? Like I'm good.
Yeah,
We're
you could
good
see
now.
it. I've had a couple of those in my lifetime playing quarterback. You get the deer in the headlights look, like you call the play and he's looking at you. I'm like, hey, bro, you got a 10-yard out, bro. Like, oh, thank you.
Yes.
You know, like,
Yes.
no, but that's
Yes.
huge though. Like you said, I mean, I had one receiver in at Oregon State, probably the most athletic, just freak athlete, jump out the gym, catch anything that was in his premises. But I mean, the poor dude, man. I mean, if he's doubles right, he's supposed to go to the right to the strong side. He'd go to the left. He's supposed to like just. I'm like, dude.
Yep.
We got to a point where I'm like, dude, if you think you're supposed to go left, just go to the right, and you'll probably
Go
go
right.
right.
Yeah.
So I think you're just the inability to even showcase your athleticism. It all starts with, like you said, just go to the right spot. Just get aligned.
Yes, because like, and you'll go to a practice. Say you went to a Fresno State practice, you can tell a kid who doesn't know where he's supposed to align.
Yeah.
Even in the secondary, even in the front, you can see like, oh shoot, they've got four guys on the front on one side. Like
Yeah.
somebody's wrong. Like they cannot get aligned. So the biggest thing is let's just get aligned first, and then we can figure everything else out.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then I think just kind of back to kind of the college and kind of just the recruiting side of things. I mean, in your opinion, I mean, unfortunately, college in general has been monetized. Obviously, you have the NIL and it's huge. And I think players should be paid. I'm a huge advocate for
100%.
that.
I'm in
But
agreement with that.
even at the high school level now, that's been extremely monetized with the 7-on-7s and showcases and combines and blah 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 blah. Like, what's your take since you've recruited kids at just about every Division 1 level from
Right.
Cal Poly, Fresno State to LSU? I mean, are the showcases and camps worth it, or should athletes be focusing more on tape and consistency and development?
I always tell kids, I still get parents that'll call me if they got their younger son or whatnot, and still got a lot of good relationship with parents. I would tell you if you're going to go to a camp, like make sure you go to a camp like a mega camp where there's like 15 schools there. Like I get the individual camp where it's like, hey, I'm gonna go to San Fresno State's individual camp, or there's only Fresno State coaches there, or maybe
Mhm.
like a Cal Poly coach, maybe only be three or four. And say you don't parents don't have the money to go to all these camps. Well, if I'm gonna spend $150 and that's all I may have for the summer, I'm gonna go to a mega camp because
Yep.
then there's a lot more eyes on me. For sure, I'm gonna do that. And then like if a school says, "Hey, come to our camp and we're gonna offer you," it's like it's like a 50-50 draw. You know what I mean? Because if you really wanted me, you would have me already there. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I'm more in the saying go to mega camps. I actually even tell kids that, like, go to a mega camp. If money's tight in the household, go to a mega camp because you're going to have a lot more eyes on you. But then I'll also tell kids too when you're going through the whole recruiting process, like, make sure you're selling yourself in a good light. Like, don't inundate me with 15 emails and you know what I mean, like all that stuff. But just make sure hey, if I follow you or something, just make sure you constantly like have my feed going with some good stuff of like a play or something, or you
Yeah.
working out. You know what I mean? You never know. I could be in the airport just scrolling through some stuff and
Yeah.
like, oh wow, look at this kid move. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
just like little things like that. And then, everybody's got a trainer. I can't hate on that one, but it's just
Yeah.
like I would go to mega camps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I was coming out, we didn't have trainers. We just go to the park
Right.
and play.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So I
No,
would
for
say
sure.
go if I'm recruiting a kid, like I used to go to Sac State camp all the time.
Yeah.
Like maybe when I was at Arizona State, when I was at Fresno State, I would go to that Sac State camp. There'd be
Yep.
thousands of kids there. You know what I mean? Then when I went to Oklahoma, well, we really didn't have to go to camps because our recruiting base was so smaller. Then
Yeah.
LSU, we really didn't do camps, but a
Yeah.
lot of kids came. We had a camp on campus at LSU where all the schools from Louisiana came to LSU's camp. So
Yeah.
it'd be La Tech, Tulane, UL, Grambling, like all the one
Yeah.
double A. So all those kids would just come and get looked at and evaluated there.
Yeah, let's talk about that because I've actually had a lot of kids come up to me and try to ask me questions too about like how do I get recruited? So I'm going to give you a scenario and you kind of tell me what you think. So I'm a high school kid, maybe I'm a sophomore, junior in high school. I play
Okay.
XYZ position. I have zero offers. Then I asked
Yep.
the kid, what camps are you going to this summer? And he's like, oh, I'm going to Texas individual camp and to Alabama's camp, and I'm going to Ohio State's camp. If this kid has zero offers, zero exposure, not one coach following him, no coaches messaging him, no recruiting basis, what's your advice to this kid that wants to go to Alabama and LSU and Ohio State camps to get
I,
recruited?
yeah. I get the whole betting on yourself, but I remember when I would call. I mean, I already had when I was recruiting. All right, those I got what you're saying. When I was done with my last class, so say I was recruiting the 25 class, right? I already had that class committed. Those guys are all juniors. I was already offering sophomores. So my sophomore class and 27, 28 class, whatever it may be, was already offered. So
Yeah.
if you don't have
Talking to
something,
LSU. Yeah.
yes, like
Yep.
I was already two classes ahead before he even came out who I was on. You know what I mean? Or my assistant to be on the 27s, 28s, like way ahead of me. So I would tell kids like that, like, don't limit your exposures by going to one camp, Because like Texas and LSU, like I know right now if you came to LSU camp when I was there, like I would have four kids there I would follow around. That's it. You know what I mean? So like you have to do something ridiculous for me to even like notice who you are, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I would have a kid from here, a kid from there, like, and they would come and they would be in my group and I would follow them around the whole time. The camera
Yeah.
would be with me the whole time. And that was like those were like my little babies. So like it's just tough to get exposure going to
Yeah.
all those camps because if you go to Ohio State, well, Ohio State, those guys are gonna know there's gonna be six kids there that they really want to take a look at.
Yeah. No, I'm so glad you said that too, because I would bite my tongue sometimes when they tell me, I'm like, man, like, good luck, man. Like, because
Yeah,
I vividly remember going to a UCLA camp. There's probably 400 or 500 kids there, a ton, just a
yeah,
bunch of kids out there. They handpicked probably 7 or 8 of us, and we were on a completely different field with the
yeah,
quarterback coach, with the offensive coordinator, the head coach. And I mean, nobody wants to admit it, but I mean, all the graduate assistants and stuff were running the big camp with everyone.
yeah,
Then every
yeah,
position coach kind of grabbed like their 5 to 10 guys, like, all right, guys, come over here. These are the guys we're recruiting, So it's
yeah,
difficult in a sense like that, to where it's like, I get bet on yourself, like you said, shoot for the stars, but realistically, what's wrong with going to get a Sac State offer or a Big Sky offer and kind of starting there and like, hey, let's
Yeah.
start kind of building this resume up a little bit.
Yeah, because like for me, like I would go to a school and they would say, "Oh, that kid's got a Memphis offer," or that kid's committed to say TCU. I'm like, "Oh shoot!" And I'm watching. I'm like, "Oh, that kid's not bad." You know what I mean? Then you never know. I may come back. I may lose a kid, then have to come back. Or when I was at Fresno, hey, that kid's committed to Cal Poly, or that kid's committed to Sac State. And like, okay, then I'm at the game and I'm watching them. Like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with like that sparks an interest because somebody else saw something in you. So
Yeah.
dang, like I might be able to see something in this kid. Or now with the transfer portal, I'm at Arizona State and I remember this kid went to school with Marcus and he went to Sac State. Oh, I remember that kid. Yeah. Shit, he's developed. Okay, he's in the portal. Yeah, let's give him a call. So it's like don't ever like I hate to say you use that word like big time to school, but like there's nothing wrong with going to Idaho State. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with going to a northern Arizona because you never know what can come of it.
Yeah.
So I tell people this all the time. We have a kid on our team, DeAndre Tillman went to like IUPUI or something like that. Like I think that's a school, IUPUI.
Yeah.
Till went to school there and not really recruited at all. Went to the UFL, played in the UFL for 3 years. We signed him as a free agent from the UFL last year. He has 6 sacks this year. Like
Yeah.
it's just a process. You know what I mean? Like if you went to IUPUI, it really doesn't matter where you go or the
Yeah.
path as long as you get to the end goal.
Yeah, no, that's huge. And I'll drop a little gem. I know when I was getting recruited, we kind of talked about that. I probably had about 10 to 13 scholarship offers, but my kind of approach was everyone knows who that kid that's committed to TCU or that's committed already who's at the camp. I don't know how, but everyone's kind of whispering and talking.
Yeah, yeah,
See
yeah, yeah,
coaches
yeah.
following them around, and you can kind
Yep,
of tell which kids are committed and have offers ready. I used to always jump right behind that kid. Say, hey, bro, you going to get water?
yep,
I'm going to get water. You're taking a rep. I'm taking a rep right after you. So I
yep.
personally kind of almost took it as a challenge, like, hey, like you're good and you have all these scholarship offers, but it was almost an eye-opening experience for a kid like me who's from a small town. Like, hey, you're good and I respect you as a competitor, but you're not that much better than me. Like, look, like
Yeah,
I got a chance. I got a fighting chance here.
yeah, yep. And like, there's been plenty of times where I've been to a school and there was a kid who was committed to a smaller school where it's like, or he's got a bunch of offers from smaller schools. I'm like, damn, I must have missed out on this one. You know what I mean? So I had to go back and rewatch his film, no matter where I was at. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
let me, because like again, for me, it's the gym that you miss. It's the Michael Walkers of the world who went to Zusa Pacific,
Hmm.
and then we end up getting him at Fresno. I was like, damn, how did we all miss out on Michael Walker, who's now going in his 6th or 7th year in the league, or a Muti who only had one offer from Fresno State for out of Hawaii. Like, how do you guys miss out? How did we miss out on that? So I've always remember those stories, and even being from North Dakota State. I mean, North Dakota State has the most active NFL players out of any one AA school in the country. So like, how did we miss out? How did this kid end up at North Dakota State? Like,
Yeah.
did a coach go in there and say this kid who's committed to Nebraska and this other kid's committed to North Dakota State? Like, why didn't you go back and watch this film?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
so I always do that.
Yeah, no, I don't think it matters. Like you said, the route is just the end goal, kind of knowing where you want to end up, and that's kind of the ultimate decision. I think,
I should tell kids this all the time. They would call me and they'd be like, Coach, I really want to offer from you. I'm like, I get it, but like it ain't gonna come. Like, I know what I gotta do to get an offer from you. I'm like, who you have offers from? Houston, well, all these other schools. I'm like, bro, those are good offers.
yeah,
He goes, I know, but I want one from you. I'm like, no, that's a really good offer. You should take that offer. I said, hold on, I'm gonna give you a scenario. Your mom puts $500 on the counter and says, "Hey, go shop and do whatever you want to do with it." Are you gonna tell her no? Or are you gonna take it? He goes, "Well, I'm gonna take it. Tell me to go shopping. It's your scholarship offer. Take it, because I don't have any money for you. I don't have a scholarship for you."
that's a gem. That's the first time I've ever heard that. That's real right there. Yeah, because you get
Yes,
sometimes you get a scholarship offer from maybe a North Dakota State, and they're like, "Oh, cool." It's like,
yeah,
no, like that's a scholarship offer, dude. Be excited about that.
yes. That's worth like no matter what school is at least worth 30,000 plus a year.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's
Yeah.
huge. No, that's really big. And yeah, I don't want to hold you too much longer, Coach. I appreciate the time, but the last question I do want to ask if kind of everything. Imagine the whole conversation we just had just got erased. All everything from the high school to fall camp to recruitment. If you could just leave the athletes and the parents listening, or even there might be athletes in the transfer portal listening to this, like what's one actionable step that someone could do to increase their scholarships and increase their recruitment and increase their retention, and increase the attention that they're getting on themselves in the recruiting process?
Um, a good one. That's a loaded question. That's a good one. Uh, if I ever went back to college, and I just like to see kids be proactive. That's it. Like just be proactive in everything that you do, rather that be working out. Actually, take that back. Just be a good human. That's it. Just be a good human. Nobody wants to pay or nobody wants to deal with an idiot. That's it. Because we're around each other too much. Around each other too much. You know how the seasons are, right?
Yep.
So nobody wants to deal with a bad person. So just be a good human. And usually when you're a good person, good things happen. Like I've never seen you have a bad day. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Never seen you have a bad day. Now you had games where you threw a couple picks here. You had to pick us up and we had to pick you up. I've never seen you have a bad day. You know what I mean? And I think of all the players who've had success in this game, they were good people at the end of the day. And when you're a good person, good things happen. I can tell you to go work out and be this and be that, but like in the league, like nobody wants to pay an asshole.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do this. Nobody wants a scholarship an asshole. Like I hate to use that word, but nobody, you know what I mean? Like nobody wants to, like it is what it is. Like just be a good person and good
Yeah.
things happen. Or a coach, like if I come into a school and I want to recruit a kid and a coach tells me like, he's kind of an idiot. I'm like, I don't want that on my name. I don't want to bring in an idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to bring in an idiot. And it's like a lot of what I do now, especially when it comes to NFL draft and combine and all that other stuff, it goes back to how I recruited kids too. Like, if I go to a pro day, it's like I'm at the pro day. Yeah, it's all the glamour and everything, but I'm talking to the water girl. I'm talking to the
Yeah.
nutritionist. Because I don't, the height, weight, speed, all that stuff doesn't really matter. I'm talking to the video guy, like, hey, how's that person? Same thing I did in college, same thing I did in high school. You know what I mean? I'm with the high schools. Like, it's the little girl who's sitting there with the clipboard. You know what I mean? And they'll tell you everything. You know, I'll go sit next to them, and be like, hey, tell me about Marcus. Is he a good dude? And like they'll tell you, like, oh yeah, he's awesome. We love him, or not him. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, what do you do? You know what I mean? So it's just kind of something like that. But just be a good person and good things happen, man, for real.
Yeah, just be a good person. I think the last thing I'll say on that too is I was almost caught off guard. And if you want to throw something on top of it, you can. When a coach would come visit me, I forgot which coach I talked to. He said, if we're coming to the school to see you, we know you could play football. They were
Yes.
talking to our coach, the principal. They were talking to they would talk to me last.
Yeah.
I knew they were on campus at about 8 a.m., but I wouldn't get to
Yeah.
meet with them until about 10:15, 10:30. And then it took a couple visits for me to kind of put it together. It's like, man, if they're here, you got their attention, but now they're trying to see if you're a good person, kind of like you said.
Yeah. I used to, one thing I used to do was I would call a kid and tell him like, hey, I'll be at your school around 2 o'clock, and I'll show up at lunch. Like just show up at lunchtime. Like, all right, let me see who you're hanging out with, where you're at, because you don't know if I'm here, if I'm not here. Because I told you I'm coming at 2. Because you're always gonna get you're gonna get the best representative at 2 o'clock.
Hmm.
So I would show up at lunch, and I would sit there and I would hang out for both lunch periods. I don't care if the word got out that I was there, because then you'll know if a kid didn't he's not if he's not at school. Like,
Yep.
aren't you at school? I told you I was coming. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
so then he'll show up at 1:30 because he thinks you're gonna be there at 2. I would just do little things like that because you always get to know somebody by see who they hang out with at lunch.
Yeah.
Where are they at lunchtime?
Yeah.
Are they in the coach's office? Are they in the parking lot? Are they in the like? Where are you during lunchtime? Like that's how I want to see who you are. That was like my go-to. I would tell kids there, hey, I'll be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. Then I'll text them like, hey, I'm running late. I'll probably be there after practice. Okay, then I'll show up at lunch. They'd be like, oh here, and then I would go get lunch too. I'll walk to the cafeteria and go and grab me some lunch. Like I just want to see
Yeah.
what people say about you. It's
Yeah.
the it's always the random person that will tell you everything about that person.
Yeah. No, for sure. Shoot, man, there you have a free game from, I mean, high school to the league. If the coach tells you getting there at 10, you better tighten up. You might be there a little early. But no, Coach Kane, I mean, I appreciate it, brother. I mean, your voice, I mean, it definitely matters. I mean, you've done it at every level. I mean, recruited, developed, coached players at, I mean, every major college level. I mean, now you're doing it at the highest level with the Denver Broncos. I mean, you lived what most athletes dreamed of, and I mean, you got the blueprint, brother. So I appreciate your time.
No, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Tell fam I said hi, man.
I will, brother. I appreciate you.